Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So lovely to see you all. Thank you very much for coming. Fellow Cape Townians, fellow South Africans, to those watching on the screens outside and those who are streaming this live at home, good evening. Goeienaand, molweni, sanbonani, salam alaikum, shalom. Igama lami ndingu Geordin Hill-Lewis, usodolo pu wasekapa. I'm Geordin Hill-Lewis, the Mayor of Cape Town. And to those who join us this evening from around the world, I say to you bonsoir, guten Abend, buenos noches. Most importantly, to our most honored guests this evening, to Mama Leah, the Archer's beloved wife, his wonderful children here, their partners who I've met this evening, to the family's friends and confidants who I see here, to the worldwide family of the Anglican Church, represented here wonderfully by the presence of our Archbishop, Makgoba, and of course by Dean Michael Wieder. May each and every one of you receive our very warmest Cape Town welcome, truly, to this tribute celebration. As a result of the COVID restrictions in our country and across the globe, really, there's very limited opportunity for the public at large to participate in this week's memorial activities. So it is such a pleasure to have members of Cape Town's public in the audience here this evening. Of course, it would have been much better to have a truly wonderful, massive celebration at the Cape Town Stadium, which we know we would have packed out with tens of thousands of Cape Townians for this occasion. But it is really great to see Cape Townians in the hall tonight. 90 years, 2 months and 19 days ago, a little child was born who would go on to bend the arc of history for an entire people and an entire country. Very few people have had such profound personal impact on the events of their lives, or will ever do so. We are here today to pay tribute to this remarkable man, our Arch, whose entire life shouted a message of hope and faith. Hebrews tells us that the early prophets were still living in faith when they died. And so it was with the Arch, a man of deep faith, who, the Archbishop tells me, was still receiving the Eucharist almost daily until his very final days, and who lived his whole life in faith for that which he hoped to see. For decades, he faithfully worked for a country of justice and mutual respect, even though he could not see it. The large part of his ministry was spent under oppression, harried and harassed, as he persevered in his act of service. In so doing, kept the faith and hope alive for South Africa's future. He always believed that a better future was possible, even if not yet visible. An early prophet indeed. The Arch saw what South Africa's future must look like, even if oftentimes it felt as though he would not personally receive it. And when it seemed in 1994 that his hope, his faith, his perseverance had been fulfilled, he did not waver even then from his faith in things unseen. In the years, most recently, the last decade and a half, when our fragile democracy took blow after institutional blow, he was there, never flinching from holding a mirror up to our nation and bringing sharp conviction and rebuke. He showed us what our future should be and lived what our future could be, and kept faith and hope in that future always. I, like so many South Africans of a younger generation, never had the chance to meet the Arch or see him in brilliant action. But I felt the radiance and warmth of his influence and the power of his message in my own life. He stood, straight-backed, eyes locked in powerful gaze. He stood for a few simple truths that cut across faith and time and place, that injustice must be opposed, that every human has profound moral worth, and that we should love our neighbors and treat others as we would like to be treated ourselves. This message of love, of course, was wrapped in an irrepressible purple energy that could both charm the good and wither the evil with its sheer intensity and good humor. We take inspiration from his life that no matter how far we have come, there is still much work to be done. As he did, we must keep the faith, keep working, and keep holding ourselves to a higher moral standard for a more just, more dignified, more loving future for our country. In Cape Town, we take this higher purpose deeply, personally, and seriously. It inspires us daily, and it is why we regard it as a profound honor to be able to be of service to his family and to the church at this time, in celebration and remembrance of the greatest Cape Townian. He loved Cape Town, and I know I speak for every Cape Townian when I say that the feeling was entirely mutual. When other cities spurned him after he won the Nobel Prize in 1984, it was Cape Town who welcomed him home. And when he was enthroned as Archbishop in 1986, it was the city of Cape Town who hosted a celebration party in his honor. I am told that at that party, one guest remarked that so fierce and terrible was the Arch's reputation at the time, manipulated as it was by the government propaganda of the day, that she, this guest, was actually afraid when he approached her table, only to be bowled over moments later by his infectious laugh and warmth. I imagine that the Arch was tickled pink or purple by that story. The scriptures tell us that these three things, faith, hope, and love, are all that remain when everything else is gone. But the greatest of these is love. I have spoken of his abiding faith and hope, but what of his love, which was the greatest of these and the loudest of his life's messages? Some South Africans of a certain generation, similar to mine, have taken to deriding this colossal legacy by arguing that the Arch was in some way too forgiving, too loving, too gracious, too kind, too big-spirited. I think that, again, he would cackle at this charge and thank them for that wonderful validation of his life's ministry. Because his life showed that our politics can be big, not small, that our society can be all-encompassing, not exclusive, that most people are basically good and worthy of respect, and that the easiness with which we give way to hate is wrong, no matter the temptation to do so. That while faith, hope, and love abide, the very greatest of these is love. In the Arch's own words, it doesn't matter where we worship or what we call God, there is only one interdependent human family. We are born for goodness, to love, free of prejudice. All of us, without exception. There is greater commonality in our belief systems than we tend to credit. A golden thread expressed in the simple maxim that one should treat others as one would like others to treat oneself. On Sunday, the 26th of December 2021, our Day of Goodwill in South Africa, he took his rest. His life was a wonderful blessing to us all, whether we knew him or not. Today, in this small way of this evening's celebration and tribute, I hope that we can celebrate the man who gave so much joy to so many, and that we all commit ourselves, as I can only imagine Archbishop Tutu would have wanted, to doing good in this life. As for us in Cape Town, we thank him for his wonderful example, and we know that the future he worked for is still possible, it is still attainable, and that we will dedicate ourselves in hope for that brighter future, in faith to work for that future every day here, and in love for one another to deliver us to that future. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Archbishop Tutu, for your incredible life.
Thank you, brother.